And we are live.
Happy Friday.
Yes, it's Friday, right? What
It's
the heck?
Friday, yes.
This week went by so fast.
It did.
I did not believe that today was Friday.
I know. It's been a whirlwind astrologically.
Mm-hmm. So I guess with that being said, let's go ahead and clear our space and energy, so we can prepare our space, and then you can dive deep into like what's been going on
Yes.
astrologically.
That sounds good.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So yeah, like, go ahead. Let's go ahead and dive deep because you have a lot of information for the collective. So let's.
Well, I tell you, it is a lot of information and um when we needed to postpone last week before the eclipse, I felt like, well, maybe that will be better because there was so much information out there about the eclipse. Let's try it a few days after the eclipse and reflect back and just see.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much mythology and folklore and cultural beliefs about eclipses. And um, I know for the United States, it was the first time we have had visibility on the Northern Hemisphere since 2017. Now, this is a weird little thing, and I'm not very well versed on the Bible, but this is very weird.
Okay.
So, this is the sevens, and I think the number seven represents heaven, the divine, God, usually represents something um, spiritual or God given. So, 7 years ago, in August of 2017, that was the last total solar eclipse that path was visible on the United States. It went from the west coast to the east coast. It passed through 7 cities with the name Salem. And in ancient language, the word Salem means peace. The total solar eclipse from Monday went from Mexico to Canada and
Mm-hmm.
crossed the United States towards the Midwest. It went through 7 cities named Navaja, Nevvhuh, something like that. And that's an ancient word for government and governance. Where the two paths crossed in Texas was the city called Rapture.
No way.
Way. Now, I don't care what you believe. I don't care. That is phenomenal. That
Mm-hmm.
is something historic, something we don't experience that often. But what I did do was I wanted, so this solar eclipse on the 8th was at 19 degrees of the sign of Aries. So I did some digging to find out when was the last total solar eclipse at 19 degrees Aries. And the closest I could find was 18, almost 19, which is close. So I just started digging into that, and it was April 7th of 1959. So here are some things that happened in 1959 with that Aries solar eclipse. NASA selects the first seven. We got a lot of sevens going on here tonight. It'd be interesting to see what the cards do. Seven astronauts. They were the first U.S. astronauts, and they were military pilots. And So there's your space element, Uranus. The big thing was the Cuban Revolution, which is where Fidel Castro overthrew the government and became the commander of the ruling party. I was going to delve a little deeper into that, but then we would be getting into some politics, and I don't want to be controversial. But if you're curious about the Cuban Revolution in 1959 and Fidel Castro, it's an interesting study. Um, the short cliff notes are that the United States supported him coming to power originally, and then within a couple of decades were arch enemies. So there you go.
Mhm.
So then there was a St. Lawrence Seaway that linked North American Great Lakes and the Atlantic Ocean. It opened for shipping, and it was binational shipping between the United States and Canada. So another thing I'm going to touch on tonight is shipping, because we've had two incidents of ships hitting bridges. Shipping is ruled by the Sun, Neptune, Pisces, Sagittarius, Jupiter. So those have all been activated kinds of energies when we look into what's going on with shipping and ship accidents. We had the Dalai Lama, who is still exiled from Tibet. And he remains in India to this day, and he was. That is when the Chinese were wanting to take over Tibet, because Tibet is very rich in minerals and natural resources. So that was a high-ranking spiritual leader exiled from his native country, and
Mhm.
he remains exiled.
Mhm.
So then Cyprus became independent from the United Kingdom. So that's about freedom, sovereignty, independence. We had the first hovercraft flew across the English Channel. So you're getting into, a little bit of quantum physics there, and the birth of what we're seeing more and more now, whichever you want to call it, artificial intelligence or quantum physics or electronics, that whole mixture of science and energy. We had the first fully automatic camera was put out by a company called Optima. We had, let's see, there was the Ever Ready battery was invented. It was the first long-lasting alkaline battery was invented. So that's taken us a long way in technology, right?
Mhm.
Alaska became the 49th state of the United States, and Hawaii became the 50th state. So more of that sovereignty and freedom and independence. So that's a theme. And then you have in 1959 there was a very controversial movie called The Anatomy of a Murder, and it was this it was very controversial because it approached the subjects of like sexual passion and the crime of rape. It was based on a novel who he was actually a Michigan Supreme Court judge. So it's kind of weird. Um, it was the birth of the microchip and the integrated circuit that was used to interconnect thousands of transmitters, and it was made from silicone. So that again, these are things that were triggered. That's what eclipses do: is they trigger a release of energy. So Aries is very aggressive, right?
Mhm.
It's fire, cardinal, leadership, trailblazers, the warrior. So a lot of this theme is it was the first steps towards a birth control pill.
That's
It
funny.
uh, it is when Barbie was invented, and one of
Mhm.
our top grossing movies right now has been Barbie.
Mhm.
Um, Again, I don't want to get too much into the politics of wars and history, but the war in Vietnam, this is when the leader of North Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh, wanted to invade or cut off supplies to South Vietnam. Um, the um, Then this eclipse was holding hands with Chiron, and Chiron, I spoke quite a bit about him in my blog on lionmountainhealing.com. Centaurs mythologically were considered to be barbaric, mean um, beasts. Chiron was the leader. He ruled wisdom. He taught about herbs and medicine and astrology, music. Um, so he was a healer and a shaman. So as the centaurs went, Chiron was one of a kind, so to speak, right? And as the myth goes, when we look at our charts and in astrology, Chiron is associated along the lines of the Sagittarian kind of energy in Jupiter. He, the archer. Um, so the myth goes that Hercules accidentally wounded Chiron with a poisoned arrow, which Chiron lived with this wound in his thigh. He was immortal, and it was through his pain that he was able to teach people, and that's the deeper meaning to humankind and spirituality and how we study suffering and sacrifice that we make, the choices we make about our spirituality and our you know mores and uh, the social mores is all I can
Mhm.
think of. So there was a son, and his name was what was Prom- Prometheus. He was the god of fire, and he was one of Zeus's sons. And Zeus wanted to kill him because he shared fire with mankind. And of course, once mankind got fire, we again evolved as a species. And Hercules, I guess out of his guilt for feeling like he was causing Chiron all this pain, went to Zeus to negotiate um, Chiron's life instead of Prometheus, something like that.
Mhm.
Excuse me, slaughtering these pronunciations. And so basically, Chiron was sacrificed and placed into the constellations. So the moral of the story is Chiron sacrificed his life for another. And that theme is prominent in all of these like threads of history. No matter what culture you're from, there's some element there of looking at your own pain. And that's what this eclipse is. And eclipses don't just happen that day. I mean, we're under this influence for, you know, I've always been taught total eclipses. This was 4 minutes long. will have an influence of 4 years. Lunar eclipses, however long they are, converts to months. So it's not like it just happened and it's going to go away. Whatever has been happening around you during this time is a theme for you for a while. And it has a lot to do, because it's holding hands with Chiron. It has a way of tempering that Aryan kind of self-centeredness. Aries are children, that's the first sign of the natural zodiac. So it's our inner child. Um, it's a spoiled brat, it's the compulsive, ramming ideas through without thinking things through kind of energy. And people with strong Aries energy can always be, they age very youthfully. I mean, they never seem to age at all, really. So there's this connection between sort of unbridled fire and discipline, Chiron. So a lot of the theme to this eclipse energy has to do with looking inside ourselves at our wounds and the beliefs or perspectives that we have carried with us, sometimes unconsciously, about what we learned as a child. And one of the biggest lessons of all is to remember it's never too late to have a happy second childhood. That is a theme of a book by Tom Robbins called Still Life with Woodpecker, which I would recommend anybody read. It's a great reminder notice of, children have this just innate ability to be fascinated and in awe. Um, and we always need to keep that kind of fascination. Um, that let's see what else. So that another part of looking within and trying to find your contentment and happiness, regardless of who's in your life or what's going on in your life, is the labyrinth. And that's another spiritual teaching, spiritual exercise all over the world. There's different ones where, they're gardens, and the whole concept is this meditation, and you're walking through this circle to get to the center, and that represents your inner self. And then you come back out. So it's a way of traveling to your inner self. And is it Chissa? She says, so how do you get past friendship with your twin flame? So I'm gonna address that a little bit. I hope that nothing I say offends anyone, but I really do try to offer information that helps people heal. I don't think there's just a bucket called twin flame. We are all connected. You have many, many soulmates, many, many soul sisters and brothers. I think this concentrated focus on this ideal of twin flame needs to be loosened up some. And so it doesn't really need a label. What's going on?
Luna just vomited.
Oh, goodness gracious. Poor
Hold
Luna.
on. Go ahead and I'll be
Okay.
back.
So I guess, we can't get hung up on labels. And it's more important that we focus on recognizing oh, look how messy my room is. Y'all don't see that. I'm cleaning out. So excuse me. It's tax time. That's all. That is all boxes of stuff that I'm going through this weekend. So just don't look. So healthy adult relationships, number one, romanticism is another ideal that's not necessarily the foundation, or I don't believe is the foundation for a healthy companionship partnership. The idea that we all have belief systems that we grow up learning based on our environment do affect our adult relationships. And until we have an honest, come to Jesus, soul searching, dark night of the soul to take ownership of those patterns, we will constantly be searching for that missing flame or reflection. I think for some people, not all people, it's just a way to avoid intimacy because all of us have had issues with intimacy. And so the eclipse, I think, will have people thinking about their relationships, if they've been in long-term relationships or marriages. This kind of energy is very disrupting. It makes the earth move. Um, I have compiled some events here from this week. We had on Wednesday, April 10th, so the eclipse was April 8th, Monday. On Wednesday, the 10th, we had Mars, which is the ruler of Aries, the ruler of this eclipse, holding hands with Saturn, which is a very similar sort of disciplinary energy like Chiron. It was in Pisces. So that's very it's it's very Mars Saturn is, we're trying to break out of our boundaries, but Saturn is making us feel restricted to do that. And so what does that make people do but sit and contemplate, like I said, long term, even if it might be a job, maybe it's not a relationship, so to speak, but it might be uh, patterns with family members, patterns with friends. These are the types of energies that you evaluate if someone has your best interest at heart. A lot of times during these kinds of cycles, you might find that people who, you've been friends with forever, um, for whatever reason, you discover that they do not have your best interests at heart, and they are not best for you to see you grow and learn and prosper. And those are some really hard uh, concepts to process because we all want to feel needed and part of a pack or a herd or whatever. We are pack animals. And so if your toxic relationship is a blood relative, very close, a mother, a father, a brother, or husband or wife, someone really, really close to you that society dictates that you should, family's everything. This is when we buck for our freedom and our sovereignty, because if we know that narcissistic relative has brutalized us emotionally as a pattern for a long time, then no one's going to come up to us and say, hey, that's not good for you because society wants, kumbaya, wants everybody to sing along and kumbaya. Um, so, and when you talk about being connected again, part of the solar eclipse was the North Node. And the North Node, in combination of Mercury retrograde right now, will bring back people from the past. It doesn't always have to be a romantic interest. It could be friends. It could be memories. It could be someone who's deceased and you're triggered by memories or something you see or hear, something that makes you think about someone. You could have reoccurring dreams under this kind of energy. So I think when it comes to relationship types of questions and meditations, the most important thing is to remember that we are all connected. The more divisive we try to apply, like not forgiving someone for what we perceive they did to us, or that this person's the only person and there'll never be anyone else, those are all part of the ego. Those are all part of the human experience. That is not a spiritual connection. So, we are in this human body having a human experience. We need the ego to help us survive and know how to take care of ourselves with nourishment and you know to find shelter, just basic instincts. So this type of energy, I think, makes people think deeply. You might find yourself having deep conversations with people you would not expect to. um, Going back to some of the things that Mother Earth is feeling under this kind of thing, there have been a couple of 1,000-year storms um, happening. A cyclone in New Zealand where thousands of people are still missing. Um, the floods in Germany were such that cemeteries were flooded to the point of bringing up the buried caskets from underground. That's very Plutonian. We have Pluto in its first degrees of Aquarius. How eccentric and weird is that? And those caskets will have to be reburied, which is what Pluto does. It rebirths, regenerates, redo.
My mom was just recently talking about digging up my grandma from the
Oh,
cemetery, uh,
oh,
and thinking about getting a plot of land so that we all
everybody could be
be
together.
together, right? And
Yeah.
so she was talking about, well, when we dig her up, we better see that casket in there because we spent a lot of money for it, because you don't know if, you buy like an expensive casket and then you get like a wooden thing down there. I'm like, Mom, I was like, are you serious?
I know. People, in cultures have all kinds of interesting death rituals, right?
Mhm.
And so we had 4-inch hailstones in Spain. Uh, One actually hit a 4-year-old child and killed her.
Oh my
So
god.
that's pretty intense hail. UK has had record breaking floods. New York, New Jersey, and Virginia had earthquakes. So the East Coast doesn't see earthquakes very often. I remember one in, I think we figured out it was 2010, and it was about 60 miles west of me and did a tremendous amount of destruction. It destroyed a school. And then 60 to 120 miles east, we're feeling the after effects, aftershakes. California's been going through it with, they had 12 in one area had 12 inches of rain within 24 hours, and that caused mudslides. And um, in the Midwest, there have been tornadoes. 32 people died in one, and then people are still missing. There's been flooding in the South Sudan. Russia has had another 1,000-year type storm where the flooding was so bad it broke a dam. And
I think that's on the Ukraine side. That's why they have like that thing down there, right?
well, and we can get into all kinds of speculation about
Why that's there.
weather weather events. I mean, are they natural?
Mhm.
Are some of them manipulated? Uh, there was drought. There's drought in parts of the Congo. So you have all these extremes, wildfires in Canada. You have extremes, which that is Pluto. And anytime a planet is in its last or initial degrees, it's very powerful. And we've had Neptune in Pisces for several years. It's almost 29 degrees now. So, Neptune is, shipping and flooding and anything to do with water. And one of the things that I think Mother Nature reminds us of with these water events is, you know, water has an extreme amount of power. And if you
Hmm.
think of our bodies as mostly water, then we can't survive without it. And so, a lot of themes around um, sacrifice, healing, um, taming, the insolent little child within yourself. I wanna, stamping their feet. This is definitely a time of, uh,
And it doesn't matter the age, guys,
it
because
doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. I mean, I always touch a little bit about my neighbor. Her husband died, and she remains in a rehab center from having a fall. She had a fall on February 29th. So we're a little over a month out from that. She is 87 years old. And, they say as we get elderly, we turn back to
a
being a
child.
child.
Hmm.
And, she has had full tilt temper tantrums. She does not like, not being at home, and she had fractures. And so the only thing they can do with fractures for the elderly is they just have to be still. There's really
Hmm.
nothing they can do. So
Hmm.
she has to patiently wait and, um, you know, heal, be still and heal. And I think that's a very common theme for this energy is be still, and allow the pain up. Don't keep pushing down. You don't want to think about that or something that's come back around. um, Pluto is the IRS. We're right here at tax time, so you might have love letters from the IRS, or something from the past come up to do with your that part of your life. So it's but it's also, if you can embrace that part of it that is the independence and freedom loving and being individual and breaking free from you know society's constraints, that's pretty exciting. And then one of the things that uh, I didn't. I was mentioning the Chiron myth about the centaur, but Chiron itself is considered to be like a comet-like or asteroid. And I'm sure people were watching different films of the eclipse, and they kept saying something about what is that next to it. It has a little tail on it, and that was Chiron. And Chiron, it's orbiting between Saturn and Uranus, and it moves even slower than Saturn. So it's one of those placements that, wherever it is, it stays for a long period. It's in Aries right now. So again, that is that theme of dealing with the hurt child within as an adult, taking accountability for um, maybe shame or guilt that you've carried that you didn't even know you were carrying. Those kinds of things from childhood that we're just taught to um, scab over, and don't deal with it. And so it's very hard under this kind of eclipse trigger to not deal with it. And one of the things that happened for me, I'm a Leo, so this was trining a Leo stellium for me. So I've been very energized, very industrious, and probably one of my favorite people in the world from my past. We've connected this week through our work. It was really weird. You know, we haven't kept in touch for many years. Back in the 80s, we worked together. We always had a good friendship. And lo and behold, in the last week or so, we have a file together where she's on one side of the transaction and I'm on another. And today we probably spent 30 minutes just going down memory lane because we know a lot of the same people from our industry. And it's like, well, whatever happened to, and where is so and so? And we had some pretty juicy scandals back in the day with people we worked with embezzling money and going to jail and doing fraudulent things. And we were like, and I told her, I was like, I hope we keep in touch because it's nice to talk to somebody that remembers all these things you know, um, that you just don't run across that every day.
Mhm.
So, anyway, so the Chiron is part of something called the Cooper belt, Kuiper. And that is a region in the outer realms of the solar system beyond Neptune. It just contains comets, asteroids, and dwarf planets that are mostly comprised of ice.
Mm.
So that the study of the Cooper Belt has helped understand like how planets and placements are formed in the solar system, and it's allowed us to see beyond the solar system. And I think so. One of the next thing I think we've all been anticipating at least a year or so happens what next week on the 20th. Where are we? So next weekend, so a week from tomorrow on the 20th, we have the planet Jupiter holding hands with Uranus. So let's see, let me talk a little bit about Jupiter conjunct Uranus on April 20th. And this would be um, let's see, Jupiter. So they're in Taurus. So that's, a fixed earth sign. And it's a very positive energy. It's like a big leap forward. It will open up many possibilities. And in Taurus, you could be seeing different things to do with banking and financial systems and agriculture. Um, there's so many weird things going on in this world right now. And what came to my mind when I said agriculture was that news story of how Texas sent these red heifer cows over to, where did they send them? Did they send them to, where did they send those red heifer cows? It was somewhere in the Middle East, and to be sacrificed. There's some religious sacrifice revolving around the red heifer cow. So, I mean, that's sort of the dark side of,
You know what my mama was talking about? Because my sister-in-law was raised on a farm, and they have cows, and they butchered one cow. Like they take it to a butcher, and I
yeah,
think the butcher takes like 20. I don't know what the percentage is, but for whatever, the butcher actually gets a cut of the cow. They cut the cow, and then
yeah,
they give the rest back to the farmer.
right,
So, like, they ground it up like a part of the cow for like ground beef and stuff like
yeah.
that. And so, it's just like,
There's
it's
something,
interesting, but, like, what my mom was talking about was like, well, if the in-laws, farm, why don't you just pay them a cut so they can grow the cow because it's organic and it's fresh, and It's a lot fresher than what you would get in the grocery store, and you know where it's coming from and stuff like that. So,
Well, I think we'll see a lot more going on about agriculture and
mhm.
how our food is grown. People
There's
have,
a lot of like recalls on just regular stuff like broccoli I saw recently, and I think salads were on recall.
I
And I'm
think
like,
there's something going on there in that industry, and it's waking people up to like grow your own, go local, you know. So the cycles of time and history have taught us that once things get so big and all consuming, they implode and then start to rebuild again. That is the life, death, life cycle that Pluto teaches us. And I think what we're going to be seeing over these next few years is just that, like huge conglomerates that have bought up farms and have tried to do our food production on such a large scale. Things like that, being infected, having E. coli, causing all these problems, um, they'll be bankrupt. And so then the return of the local farmer, because the government has done horrible things to farmers going back to like this period of the 50s. And so I think that you'll see, just like big box stores that own these big chains that offer, um, volume packing of something for cheaper. But again, it all implodes, and then it comes back to your corner store, your husband and wife running the local grocery store. Or I've
mhm.
already started seeing that in my area where, um, a couple of the big stores are now empty, but you've seen these little pop-up markets that are really small. Some of them are pretty specialized, like, um, one place. I mean, it's not like you can go in there like a big grocery store and get any brand of any condiment or whatever. They have their one brand of this and that, and they do a lot of unique, um, sauces and condiments, things you don't see a lot, more European type things, I guess, cheeses, olives. Um, but their claim to fame that they hit the neighborhood with was fried chicken. Okay, they're just doing a huge business. They fry it when you order it. It's not like done up and set out under a heat lamp all day long. So that more personalized, like, um,
That
people
must
being,
be an East Coast a regional thing because I'm not seeing that over here.
well,
You
I
know?
guess it might just be, in pockets of areas. And
Mhm.
I think it is a trend though that we'll see bigger places going bankrupt, forcing the market to start out with more ma and pa places where 20
Well, I
years
just know,
ago.
like, here, like the big box pharmacy stores, like Rite Aid and stuff, they're going out of business, but even, like, places like Walgreens, they're just, like, shutting down a few stores,
And they're
so that is
repurposing them. I mean, that's happening
yeah,
here where they're taking that space and repurposing it for other businesses. And I'm so glad you brought up pharmacy because Neptune rules pharmaceutical companies. And
mhm,
that's another industry on the chopping block.
mm.
People are waking up to the fraud and that they've not had our best interest at heart. And I know I've said this before, and it's just so demoralizing, I think, that you cannot turn on the TV or radio and not hear an ad for a drug. It's just they're constantly pushing pills, constantly, you know, showing class action lawsuits from the pill that was put out 2 years ago. That, it's just this vicious cycle of fraud and money. And all of that, I believe, is on its way of slowly being dismantled. And it starts with people taking accountability for their own well being. You know, our older generations, I think, have hung on everything a medical doctor will tell them and just thinks that they are the bee's knees. And of course, they're right. Um, People towards the end of the baby boomers and my generation, they are practicing that the only person that really knows what you need is yourself. If you'll be quiet and let your intuition tell you what your body needs, your body will communicate to you. And whether or not you do what your intuition tells you to do might be another subject, but we do know what we need on a subconscious level. And
Mm.
I do believe that as we get more of Pluto in solidly into Aquarius, Pluto will go retrograde here in the first part of June until November, when it will actually be firmly planted in Aquarius for like 20 years. So we'll still be feeling a little touch of Pluto and Capricorn back over the summer, but we're getting a taste of what Pluto and Aquarius might mean for our society, which is evolution, revolution. People want to be creative, they want to be authentic, they want to be their individual self. Um, there's a lot of controversy and debates going on over the artificial intelligence, like how to harness it, where the boundaries are. Um, uh, People don't want robots taking over their jobs. People want to be engaged, and so these are
Well,
where,
there's still like a thing where people they just want someone to talk to. They're tired of like the quick fix, thing. Like if it works, fine. If it doesn't work, put somebody like a real person that they can speak
yeah,
to. And I think that I've heard a lot of that, especially in a platform called Etsy, where Etsy is using like AI to kind of manage their stuff, and they're kind of understaffed for being a big company. But the
yeah,
thing about it is that you don't have like a person that you can call and talk to. There
right.
is a person that you can um like send a message to, but you can't really talk to them.
Some
And
people
most
things
yeah,
have gone
most of them are trained under like um kind of like a booklet or something, right? Where
a
you could just
script.
yeah,
Yeah,
like a script, and you type in, okay, what is the
right,
thing, and then you get
right,
like this very like generic solution.
right.
And so I think that AI is great, but we're not completely there yet. And humans, interaction with especially like services and stuff, that won't ever go away. You need people at the end of the line at some point, because I mean, like it does help, save some time, but then you get a little bit more dialed in into like, the problem, so
It's definitely Jupiter Uranus conjunction is going to bring all of that technology and expansion right in our face.
mhm,
And so, follow the money. That's
mm,
usually will take you to the answer pretty quickly. Follow the money.
mhm, mhm,
Um, so then I thought what I would do also is talk a little bit about tonight, because we are past the eclipse from Monday. We are past the Mars Saturn conjunction from Wednesday. And so tonight we are sitting with the Sun, Mercury retrograde, the North Node, and Venus all in Aries. It's an Aries stellium. And that North Node, snuggled up to Venus, will bring love from the past, or people from the past, or memories of people from the past. And Jupiter is about a degree before it's going to actually be holding hands with Uranus, but we're feeling it now, even though it's not exact for a week or so. That's a pretty intense combination of energy. And then the moon is in Gemini, so we're feeling pretty chatty and um, uh, uh, all over the place, kind of, we're intellectualizing everything with a Gemini moon tonight. Uh,
Mhm, mhm.
and then the Mars is separating from the Saturn conjunction from earlier this week. So we're still under the influence of that. Um, and Neptune is in its final degrees of Pisces. So I think we're in a tunnel of a lot of shifting and changing. Mother Earth herself is doing a lot of disruption and shifting and changing. And I think that is a reflection or reflects to us here on the surface of Earth what we're probably feeling. Um, doing anything. The labyrinth is a great meditation. The things that make you feel grounded will help navigate this kind of energy. And, um, just try not to let anything shake you too bad. Um, I hope there's more good coming to allow us struggling. Um,
I guess to prevent maybe.
yeah. So, and that's where, maybe we need to be analyzing or practicing that ability to be. What Uranus does is makes you feel detached. Um, so I think, all kinds of cultural doctrines that when they speak to struggle, you know, one of the roles struggle plays in our life is to make us appreciate the simple things. So if you're feeling like you're struggling, it might mean a good opportunity to be very observant of your environment, you know, to the point where if you see, you know, in my little corner of the world, it would be, seeing poison ivy growing in my flower bed that I hate. But seeing that plant as, um, it is part of nature, and some people are allergic to it, some aren't. I'm horribly allergic to it. So I struggle with that. So trying to delve into, the simple thing of nature and easy, simplistic concepts, the sun, or if it's raining, the rain, no matter what the condition in your environment is, finding some value in being connected to it. Like I think we've all been guilty at some time or another when, oh, it's going to rain all weekend. Like that's a bummer. Okay. Well, we need to be flipping that. It's like, oh, it's going to rain. It's good for the earth. I don't know about where you are, but the pollen is really thick here. And so, oh, rain, let's wash the pollen away. And my
Mhm.
whole point is how we look at things affects how much or little we struggle.
Mm.
Um, you know, you might have had your heart set on a trip or a job or a person, fill in the blank, whatever applies to you, and they let you down, or it got delayed, or it just didn't come out the way you had hoped. Keeping our energy buoyant so that we don't sink down with what we perceive as that disappointment. If you really live in the cycles of nature and spirit, you innately know that everything happens for a reason. If that person is not in your life, there's a reason. If that job didn't come to you, it's because there's a better job waiting for you. And it's getting that out of our head, overthinking everything, trying to get into somebody else's head about why aren't they doing what we want them to do, or why aren't they blah, 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 whatever it is, apply the concept to any of it, that it's up to ourselves to find contentment. It's not up to something outside of ourselves to make us happy or bring us contentment. We need to be content, right, all in our own little or big person, whatever. And, one of the things that I've seen around me in conversation lately with this eclipse has been the concept of happiness, and are people ever really happy? And what is your perception of what is happy? Do you have to have a romantic partner to feel happy? Do you have to, have an X amount of money you make to be happy? What is it in human nature that's always chasing the happy? When, I think a lot of uh, manifestation theories and spiritual practices will say, until you accept right where you are and be content with every part of where you are, don't think it's going to change. I mean, our vibration has to rise on all levels, on all layers within our being. And so, um, why can't I was having this conversation with a friend of mine's husband. He's 83 and he just retired. He has been a long distance truck driver forever. And he
Mm,
would still be driving. He hates that he had to quit, but his veins and his legs were giving him an issue.
mm,
So he's sitting around the house now, and that's just not his nature. And we were having this conversation the other day about, jobs and being happy. And, he was like, well, you're never really happy at a job. There's always going to be this grass is greener over there feeling. And I think when you really start reflecting on where you've been or jobs you've had, um, there's always better or worse. It's really how we want to perceive it. Our perception is muckety muck with Neptune and Pisces. So, Neptune and Pisces is the subconscious mind, it's the dreamer, it fantasizes. And so it sees everything with rose colored lenses. And as it is going to be leaving its home sign, realities might, well, not might, realities are going to rear their head. And um, that's why we all need to have a regular kind of daily devotion or practice to whatever it is you want it to be, to keep yourself centered, to keep realistic in your mind. Um, I have a friend at work who uh, just feels like nothing's going right in her life. She finds, everything's messed up. And these are more or less her words, between work, her kids, her family, old relationships, whatever. Everything is kind of jacked up
mhm,
and feels like nothing's going to change and it's going to get worse. And I was trying to, because I don't like to come off preachy or like I know anything, but I was trying to offer some suggestions like, if you'll change one little thing in your life, say you take the same route to your job every day, change that route. If you go to the same store every time, change that store. The universe is vibrational. Our vibration interacting with the universe is what creates the chapters and the events in our life. If we're going to sit here and be miserable and nothing's ever going to get any better, that's what the universe is going to give you. So
mhm,
there's some part of our spirit that has to be Jupiter. Uh, what is the Jupiter holding hands with Uranus? That's very buoyant. I mean, it is up to us to see the possibilities. And that's a good thing about Neptune in its home. It can make you see unrealistically, but it can also proliferate your imagination to create things that you may not have ever dreamed of. So there's two ways to use that energy, and it's your instinct and your intuition that keeps it between the lines, so to speak. And not a lot of people will stay between the lines. People have been known to walk away from their lives and start up somewhere else, and that can happen too. But we are definitely in this period of time in society where we all need to be more independent and take ownership for what we've manifested in our life. There's this thing through schooling systems and parenting systems of, it's always out there. It's always someone doing it to you, or, you know, you didn't have anything to do with that. But internally, on a very deep level, and spiritually, over many lifetimes, we have created patterns. And that's what this time is to do, is to recognize our patterns. And if it's a pattern you don't like, then you're the only one that can affect that. And make a difference. So I would say stay really positive, write down your goals and dreams with, color and ideas, and just brainstorm things that you perceive as happy. But at the same time, find happy right where you are. Um, like I just said, we can all find better and worse times that we've been in. And so nurture that good part, like I get really excited when it's going to be sunny and a little warm. I'm a Leo, that's my element. And
Hmm.
when it's too many weeks of cloudy and cold, I'm just like, I struggle to not be grumpy. When I know it's going to be like this weekend, it's going to be sunny and warm. I can feel, I'm just so excited about it. It's just going to be sunny. I'm very excited about that. It's a very simple thing, but it's what keeps my vibration buoyant. And that's what we all have to work on. If there's something hanging on you like a wet wool rug or a wet wool blanket, face it, delve into it, and figure it out, and drop it. Drop that wet wool blanket. And I say this kind of like Chiron, in that I have survived chronic depression. I've survived friends' suicides, family suicides. So I do know where I'm coming from. I have been at the bottom of the bucket. I have climbed myself up all by myself. And there's something to that makes you resilient, and to understand that any struggle or anything that you in your life thinks is not how you want it to be, you can affect that. There is a way to make it different. And it starts with, taking ownership for patterns you do that are not in your best interest, and distancing from people who do not have your best interest. And you may find, like I did at one point with my brother's suicide, that friends just just the concept of suicide made a lot of people just drop away. It just was not something they could process. And then you start over again. This lady I worked with a long time ago and I talking today, we're talking about, we both lost friendships over COVID and whether or not you got vaccinated. There was a real divisiveness in this world about, people thinking it was their business and what your medical history or condition was. And we've never had that before that I think we won't ever live through. And so,
Well, I think that some of that is coming into like the whole political field now that we're ramping up into like that season, right?
yeah,
But it's also kind of ironic that you're talking about like around the November time frame. That's
Right.
when I guess
Pluto's
we'll go
firmly into
like going back
Aquarius.
into Capricorn, but going into Aquarius. So it's really interesting. I really hope that there is a form of freedom
Oh,
after that
absolutely.
period. So, like, I'm looking forward to that, but also, um, it's kind of like the beginning to like some sort of
New
evolution.
age. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, so I really feel that between now and then, even on that side, but even on a personal level, I feel that this is like kind of like the end point of getting rid of any past things that we're kind of stuck on, any kind of limiting beliefs that we have on certain situations. How can we adapt and evolve and really like be immersed into like our environment and just like everything,
Live
because
in
we
the
can't be
moment.
stuck in the past and just move
Right.
forward. Like we're all like doing like this quantum like leap into like
Yes.
the future of how
Yes.
things are. And so that's what I feel. I feel like, instead of being so fixated or like stuck on like certain ideals, you have to be flexible. You have to like really be open. um but also like with like the past, like any past issues that are coming up, like really just like review it and release it.
And
That-
there's probably always been something worse that you've lived through. I
yeah,
mean,
like I feel like this is kind of babyish compared to what we've been through in the past, right? Like we've been through worse, I feel.
right.
This is just like, okay, this is
It's
a recap.
inconvenient.
Well, it's a recap. It's like, okay, have we learned our lessons? Can we move forward? Are you guys ready for this? Because the ones that aren't ready, might, you
They'll
know,
just go back through the karmic wheel again.
yeah, they'll just like,
Round and around.
keep like perpetuating like their past issues and things like that. But the ones who are on board will get it, and they're going to move on to bigger and better things. And so I really feel that is, I mean, because I can't remember what you have written in your your article recently, but basically from what I'm hearing and what I'm sensing, is that this is a good time to just like do a reflection. Like, is there anything else that you got to get out your system? Do it now,
Hmm.
because like if not, like you're gonna have to readdress those issues again. um
It's about transforming the pain and suffering into healing and growth.
yeah,
And that's where, you hit it on the head, is there will always be people at different parts of where they are, and you can't affect someone moving up moving on down their path. But if you're growing and maturing and they're not, you can love them from a distance and bless them. You don't have to
you don't have to feel
keep
like you
yourself
have to like
to
yeah, like feel
negativity.
responsible to like help them. I mean, if you've done all that you could, then that's all that there needs to be, and you can love them, in whatever way, but don't let that hold you back with your growth.
Right.
um
And don't be afraid to be alone if
mhm.
that's what it takes to refresh and
And renew, like,
right, right.
I just passed a billboard that had like that salt bath thing. And
Oh,
so that was kind of interesting because like I knew that we had one here, but I didn't
the
really.
flotation zone
Yeah,
is
the
what it's called here.
flotation thing where you can get like a floaty bath, like a salt bath thing.
Right.
So, I mean, if you have one of those, by all means, go ahead and see if that kind of helps detox, all the impurities of your aura.
Right.
And that might be the reset that you might need.
It's an
Um,
exciting time, and it's only as difficult as you want to make it. We can
mhm.
embrace, you know, transmuting negative energy, or we can moan and groan about it.
Mhm.
And, Aries is the little kid, so they can have temper tantrums. So if you
I
feel
think it's
yourself,
short-lived. You
yeah,
know, they'll
yeah,
go through it like huff puff and then,
yeah,
like
yeah, that's the thing,
and it's just as long as this whole retro, like, period almost because it's kinda,
yeah,
like, in the middle of it.
yeah.
So, like, I think it came in good time.
It's an exciting time. I mean,
Mhm.
if you look historically at the past, the thing that's scary is the storms and flooding. And if you're in areas that are going through you know,
Like a physical change, then
an
it could
event
be a
like that,
little
that's no
yeah.
fun. But, um, I think people will be a lot on the move and might be forced to evacuate areas and by no choice of their own, start up in a new place. And that's new energy. And, again, I think it's really about understanding how resilient you truly are, and that we all affect our own experience, that it's not up to someone else to do anything for us in that way. And I think the more you can sit in the moment and find that, well, maybe not everything's exactly the way you want, but if you have food and shelter, you're doing pretty good. There's a lot of people that don't. And if you don't, there's people and places out there that can help. So, one of the studies I read recently about homeless people is, to a certain degree, there's a certain percentage of homeless people that it is their choice. It's not this, it's not for everyone, but, we get these perceptions and stereotypes, and this energy will blow those out of the water. There'll be a lot of things that we thought we knew, and we'll find out we don't.
Well, I also think it's kinda circumstantial and environmental. So,
Yeah,
it's and also energetic.
yeah,
So, but there is a certain camaraderie, I think, amongst the homeless people where they do band
yeah.
together
They
and
have
like those
communities.
homeless, camps, and it's like a kind of like their life, in that circle of,
Yeah.
friends or whatnot. And so that's just like another way of living.
And
And
there's been this trend of people, on the move. They buy these RVs or convert a van, and they're living on the road.
Mhm.
And, um,
Yeah, like my animals.
yeah, yeah.
Luna, you gotta get out, honey.
Well, let's pull some cards for the eclipse and the Mars Saturn conjunction and the Jupiter Uranus conjunction coming up, and see what the cards can tell us or confirm for us that we've been talking about.
Okay.
I'm using my standard old Aquarian deck. It's the one I'm most comfortable with and that I use a lot.
And I am choosing to go with the Starseed Oracle. So an
Nice.
oracle deck. And let's see, because we're all star seeds here, as far as I
Yes.
know. And so, yeah, we'll go with that for today. So the first, I think, first up is Aries.
Aries has probably got a lot more going on than usual right now.
hmm Oh, look at this. We have I Remember.
I have 10 of Cups.
Oh, wow. So it says Soul Plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. Wow.
Nice.
Look at that with the 10 of cups.
Right. That's a whole lot of abundance going on for Aries.
Yeah, so it's like, around this eclipse, you remember that you had a soul plan. And maybe there's a difference between fate and, destiny. It's like you feel fated for one thing, but you're destined for better, right? Um, so yeah, it's like kind of like an awareness is what I'm sensing here. So that's actually really good.
It's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Aries.
Also, like
Warrior.
um thing right here, the triangle, that's masculine energy. Let's see what the heck is going on with my light. Okay, it's back on now. I don't know what happened. uh, but yeah.
Mine's been behaving here. We've had a lot of wind today, and I was worried about my lights flickering, but they're doing all right.
Yeah, well, we're in Mercury retrograde, so
Yeah.
um yeah, there goes my
Bunka, you don't need to apologize. You just go and have fun.
who was that?
Chewbacca.
Oh, I'm very sorry. This guy's paying attention to me, and I feel like reciprocating after all the shit I went through. I think it can't hurt. See you soon, mamacitas. All right. Well, you go out and have some fun, Shabaka. You deserve
Yes.
it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Taurus, that's the Uranus Jupiter conjunction coming up, is in Taurus. That represents banking, agriculture, art. Uh,
Yeah, I've actually been immersed in all that. I had to speak to the bank last week and this week
oh,
for
that's
like investment opportunities and agriculture. My mom was talking about like getting these planter things because we have seeds, and so she wants to help me to help sprout the seeds
yeah.
to plant. So we just recently got organic soil to
Getting
kind of
ready.
get it started, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, what was the last one you said? Forgot.
Art.
Art, yeah, yeah. And so that the thing like with me redesigning a website,
Yeah.
that's another thing.
Very Taurian, ruled by Venus. So all things love and money.
Mm-hmm. So let's see here. I have empathic starseed.
I have Seven of Pentacles.
Okay, it says energetic sovereignty, absorbing what's not yours. Oh, interesting.
Reflecting.
So,
So this might be somewhat of a crossroads for Taurus, reflecting on what they have and where they want to go from where they are.
it's really interesting. Seven of Pentacles. Look at that guy with a stern look on his face.
He's pretty serious.
Yeah, he's like, I've invested into this, and like maybe Taurus, you're taking on more than what you really wanted. So maybe you need to like really separate yourself from other people, like you're absorbing other people's energy. Um, it almost feels like a blockage, right? Like someone is blocking Taurus from their full potential or their full success, is what I'm feeling. Um,
Taurus needs to just chill and go to one of those, what is it, wine and paint deals where you sip wine and paint, splash paint on a canvas.
mm-hmm.
Get out of their head, get out of their stubborn, they can be very stubborn,
Yeah. So like, I feel also that Taurus wants to go to places, but they're being like,
lazy. Well, they're
I
not going to be lazy for long under Jupiter Uranus. Boy, that's going to set some fire under their heels.
So is that like after next week?
Well, they're only a degree apart right now, and it's exact on the 20th. So we're in it. They're in it.
Mhm, mhm.
Could be relationship related, something sudden.
Well, my daddy's a Taurus, and he's here right now.
Yeah,
Sorry. Just saying. What's up, daddy?
I
Oh,
knew it. pretty good Taurus friend, and he passed away. He was fairly young, and he was just, they're the taskmaster, you know. I mean, they have very lofty goals for themselves, and they can burn out easily if they don't watch it.
Mm, I
We
know
have
my
Gemini
dad's a workhorse. He's really a really good
cloud.
worker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So we have a Gemini moon tonight for the weekend.
Oh, okay.
So for Gemini, they might feel more active than normal, although with Mercury retrograde, they might feel a little confused. Five of Wands.
Okay, and I have the Seas of Mintaka. Says seeing potential, bringing unconsciousness to light. So that must be that chatty thing, right? Like there, you have the Five of Rods. You might be like discussing
All
stuff.
over the place.
Yeah, and then here is like, seeing things, like from like maybe the subconscious or unconscious, and then bringing it up. So I feel like this is like conversations, deep conversations that are coming to light. Um,
Creativity.
mhm,
Let's see. The moon is making a sextile to the sun Mercury, so that could be positive adjustments with their attitude. Let's see what else. It's about the closest aspect. It's a semi-sextile to the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So that's again pretty all over the place. Gemini,
mhm.
is always busy. Sort of the jack of all trades.
I just keep getting like this chatty, like this watery energy, but also like this fire that's going on. Um, So a lot of conversations is what I'm feeling like really seeing things, but then like bringing stuff up. I feel like from the past, and they could be having an argument about that, but it's something that they're addressing. Just saying.
It also could be related to going to school or taking some classes, something, Gemini is stimulated intellectually. So this
Mhm.
is a lot of vibrations that would be very stimulating.
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe take an art class or go to an art exhibit.
Come here. Come on, Tommy. Okay. All right, kitty. Oh, here he is. Come on. Come here. Sorry.
You're fine.
My cat and dog, I got cat dog issues over here. Stop. Kitty's hungry. That's what that is.
Fine.
I caught Luna was eating Kitty's food.
Oh,
That's what came up.
that's funny.
So now she want whatever. Anyway, for Cancer we have lost lands, soul memories, and gifts. You've done this before. Interesting.
King of Rods.
Hmm.
So that could be fatherly things going on, or some older male relative connected to security and home for Cancer this weekend. Um, could be feeling a little more emotional than normal.
What I'm picking up here is that it could be about someone who's passed away, and there's memories of that person of the past, and maybe there's like some physical stuff that is reminding them of that person, like gifts that they've received from that particular person, um, and also there's like this sense of deja vu. It's like this weird watery energy that I'm picking up here. Stop it, Luna. So I really feel that it seems like they're sensing something about like these memories.
There's adjustments in attitude somewhere or another with Cancer too. Maybe that's
Yeah,
dealing.
maybe like a past person would always tell Cancer something, and maybe they're being reminded of that.
Yeah,
That's what I feel, but I definitely feel like it's like a connecting from someone who's crossed over, but also like a past life energy as well. But feeling very good about this in some way moving forward.
Cancer's always a little sentimental.
Hmm. It's really interesting, the energy.
Yeah.
Hmm. So next up, we have Leo.
Leo's pretty fired up with an Aries eclipse.
Let's see what Leo's energy is like.
Ah, take a rest, Leo.
I actually have your Earth pulsing, pulse of the mother. Slow down. Time in nature. What?
That is funny. That is funny.
Maybe it's too much energy going on, you know. But do you see that? Your card looks very similar to mine. It's
I
so
know.
weird. And the colors too, it's very similar.
It's very, very interesting because it would naturally be a spike in fire energy signs with this eclipse. So
Mhm.
this is an
Mhm.
interesting reminder notice to also take a rest.
Right. But that's actually a good thing because if you're fired up and have all this energy, it probably means just don't forget to just, take some time out and because you're overdoing it or something like that. So a gentle reminder, I feel, not too bad.
That's good to know because I'm hoping to do chores tomorrow and sit in the sun on Sunday. So have a
Yeah,
nice balance there of doing
yeah.
chores and getting a little rest too, being lazy too. Can't Leos know how to be lazy, I can tell you that.
Well, I know that from my cat because my
Yeah.
cat sure as hell know how to sleep. And I'm like, okay. And then whenever he's ready, he's active late at night.
Does he
Oh,
talk? Is he very talkative?
he meows. Meow, meow. That means I'm hungry or I want to be rubbed. Okay. But once he get what he needs, he's off on his own. I was like, okay. All right.
Until the
King.
next meal.
Yeah, King freaking Tommy over here. Like he's very interesting. I actually love my opposite combo. It's
Hmm.
very unique. It's so weird. uh,
All right, Virgo. Let's see.
mhm.
That's that earth energy. That's a square to their sun from
Oh
this
my god.
eclipse. So that can be a little exasperating
Yeah, and I have karmic relationships.
in the moon.
It says, what is this? Orion energy? I can't really focus. Yeah, polarity, soul growth, and conflict. Yeah, and with the moon, like that's like anxiety. It could be secrets, karmic relationships. Ah, yeah.
Well, Virgo is one of those types of energies that just has a hard time being happy because they're very, very picky.
Mhm. Mhm. So maybe this is that reflection on these karmic relationships. If you're feeling conflicted, like really like learn from it. What's the takeaway of this energy around this time?
The moon is the mother, so it could be someone dealing with your Virgo mom.
Yeah, like my mom.
Is your mom Virgo?
Yeah, her moon sign is a Virgo, but I think she's a Libra.
Oh
She
gosh.
she goes by you know, because in Asian culture they have like a moon birthday, but
Yeah.
then she has a real birthday. I
Right.
think her real birthday is a Libra, like she's like because it's like a month ahead, so that
Yeah.
makes her a Libra. But her American birthday is Virgo. She's
Ah,
both. She's both. Like she's very social, very chatty, very, like wanting to like talk to people, but at the same time that has a very strong Virgo energy in
a
her.
perfectionist,
Yeah,
a
can't tell
nervous
from her.
perfectionist.
Mhm. So, yeah. Um I just know that she's going through some ailments right now um with her muscles and stuff, so, yeah. I guess that's the sign of age.
It's, I think these kinds of vibrations, our bodies are changing. You know.
Well, I know that they just came up here from Scottsdale, and they were telling me how like this rainy, because it rains and then it's sunny. It's kind of like that kind of energy like up here, and everyone has needed to take like an aspirin. You know.
Well, and it's so dry and sunny in Arizona. It's very different.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like I think it's like the water, or I don't know. But then like today it was very sunny.
Yeah.
So, the weather fluctuates here, so who knows?
Let's see.
Uh,
We have Libra.
yes, Libra.
Ah, I like
Hmm.
it, bro.
I have a double mission. Light workers, starseeds serve the world by being you.
That's great. Go out and
Mhm.
teach something.
Yeah, so there's like this awareness, maybe this intuitive um, hit that you know that you want to be of service, and maybe there's just more than one thing. Over there you have like two roses. Mm,
This is a lot of quick-minded energy. I was
mhm,
thinking Libra, either teach or go to a yoga class or do something intellectual and help people connect with their intuition and your own intuition.
mhm. One thing I know about Libra is they do like to network.
Yes.
Um,
It's
so
ruled by Venus.
mhm. So just be
Very,
yourself and do your thing.
very intellectual. Gets bored
Mhm.
easily.
Yeah, so I guess use this energy to really work it, like whatever ideas that come to mind, just go with that. Um,
My Libra friend has been having a lot of trouble with sinuses. Of course,
mhm.
a lot of people are right now, but
Oh, because of the pollen and stuff
she
like that.
generally is never ill. But she
Hmm.
has not been going and doing like she normally is because her she had eye surgery in between her sinuses are bothering an eye, the eye she had surgery on. So she's a little under the weather right now.
Sounds like everybody's got like stuff falling apart or something ain't working. Yeah.
They change.
Mhm. Oh, well, look what we have here for Scorpio. We have Messenger, and we have Sirius energy bringing harmony and balance.
It's strength.
Oh, so you have the strength to spread some sort of message over here. It's really good. It's like really balanced energy here.
Kind of reminds me of the star card.
Mhm. Messenger. like a an angel or some sort. You know, maybe you have the guts to speak your mind, or spread some light on a situation that was hidden. But there's some kind of like ease to this energy. It's not like harsh, you know, because Scorpio can be harsh in their delivery.
Yeah.
um, so I feel like they have the courage to speak their mind about something that they would normally would hide.
They're very resilient.
Hmm. So that's actually okay.
Yeah, I like that.
Hmm. So next we have Sag.
Twin Aries says, thank us for coming on live on a Friday night. We're always on Friday night. That's what works best.
Yeah, that's what we try for at least.
Yeah.
Oh, we have Jump In for Sag. And it says, Andromedan energy adventure, say yes to change.
I have the devil.
Wow.
So breaking
Hmm.
free. Sag is breaking free of the bonds.
Mm-hmm. Like just
Jumping.
going for it. Look,
Yeah.
look, the feet are like sticking out of the eyeball over there.
Yeah.
uh so
This would
if you
definitely
were
be
holding back, like I guess like being held back, now's the time to like just go for it.
take a trip.
Mm-hmm. Trip to the eyeball.
Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and that is what is conjuncting with Uranus right now. So Sag could be feeling very shaky, could be feeling unexpected change or unexpected freedom or independence. All those Uranian kinds of energies could be leveling up computer systems, it could be expanding networks.
That's what I'm doing, and I'm a Capricorn.
Yeah,
So I'm still like trying to clean up my hard drive space.
yeah.
It's been slow, but it's getting done slowly but surely.
Disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll eventually get it done. It'll probably be by next month sometime.
yeah.
At least for me, you know.
So Capricorn, this flew out.
Oh,
Seven of
Seven of Rods.
Wands.
And we have your life as a canvas, artist, manifestation, creative accountability.
I like that. Life is a canvas.
Mm-hmm.
So this
So yeah, well, with the Seven of Rods, though, I mean, are you defending yourself about how you're manifesting things?
is
Um,
setting boundaries, healthy boundaries, getting organized.
mhm, mhm.
Your life is a canvas. I like that.
Well, that was the thing. Like for me, I need to clear up my clutter in my space in order to get really creative.
Yeah.
But if I don't clean up my clutter, I will think about the clutter until I can get to this point.
Right, right.
So that must be the Seven of Rods energy, just having a struggle there.
Being methodical, having a stick to itness.
Hmm. But once everything, like I said, that's why I really feel like with this energy, especially for myself, I really feel like things won't start moving until like another week or so. Oh, that's how I feel. But but I'm trying to get creative, and I have like this idea in my head, but it just seems like every time I want to get to it, it just I can't start on it. It's like, the heck. So if any Capricorns out there that's going through the same thing, I'm right there with you. Just saying. So next we have Aquarius. Oh, the blue flame. Very interesting.
Oh, I have Nine of
Spontaneous.
Pentacles.
It says spontaneous awakening, activation, integration time. Wow.
Nice.
So
It's
maybe they
very
know
Aquarian.
that it's time, but it's slow. Like, cause like this Aquarian energy is taking like a course of a year almost to kind of get into motion, right?
Right.
But there's like this awareness, this activation around this time to kind of get things in motion. It's slow, but it's kind of steady.
Slow but steady.
Hmm.
That's good.
So I was trying to remember what the blue flame actually means. Um.
Isn't that like part of the third eye and higher mind?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Like
That could
above
be.
the crown chakra?
Mhm. That makes sense.
Um, multi-dimensional
Yeah, because like this light is like it kind of looks like a portal, and there's like this ancient ruins. It looks like a doorway.
time travel. Something very methodical about Aquarius in this energy.
Yeah, especially with the Knight of Pentacles. It's like it's slow moving, but it's there. It's like present. So, if you're an Aquarius, maybe you're just like an awareness that things are moving. Um, and it's time to like integrate like what this thing is that you're being activated on. It could be like a creative endeavor or um, something that you've been thinking about, and this is like the process of getting to that point.
The Maverick could be related to aviation or, you know, Aquarius is often the outsider,
Mm-hmm.
is, galactic beings. It could be something like going to cosplay or a UFO lecture or anything to do with that kind of otherworldly beings. Very unique,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but a lot of new ideas for Aquarius under this energy and the higher mind.
I would say just be open to the energy that comes through and just kind of like get immersed. Next up, we have Pisces.
I have the Seven of Cups.
Hmm. Wow. I have aimed star ancestors, hidden secrets, lost wisdom. Look a little deeper.
Mm,
So, like, Seven of Cups is about like choices and decisions, right? Um,
yeah, and dreams and fulfillment.
and like we have here the pyramids, and depending on your beliefs on the pyramids, I mean, that's just like a whole nother realm over there. These star ancestors, and so, um, Pisces is very psychic. Maybe there's like some stuff that you possibly are looking at on a deeper level.
So we have right now Saturn, Mars holding hands in Pisces. So that
Mhm.
could be consulting about some kind of surgery or foot issue or um, tempering some kind of decision, like not going too quick, maybe having a lot of options for what direction to go in. Pisces is the feet moving forward, so this might be good to use this energy to make a list of priorities and tasks and get some things in order, not feeling as scattered.
I was about to say a new pair of shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking about my brother, because he works in a hospital. And I just recently saw like a doctor and I saw the nurse's shoes. And I was going to ask her, oh, what kind of shoes are you wearing? Because they look like the orthopedic kind, the ones that are good for standing for long periods of time. And so, yeah, I feel like sometimes Pisces energy, like one of their mind spaces all over the place, like the scattered energy. Um, so if you're having like deep thoughts, well, what does that mean? Because you might need to write a list and kind of like navigate through that
Yeah.
instead of
Having
like
a lot of,
being in the
like,
head.
I was thinking, like a list of pros and cons. Like if you're contemplating something, I don't know why foot surgery keeps coming up other than Mars and Pisces is the surgeon, but it might be elective and to make like a pros and cons to do it or not to do it or some kind of balancing of your decisions.
Sounds good. Because sometimes it's, you think about these things in your head, but sometimes it's just better to like write it down so you can actually visually see it like in a very physical way.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, sounds good. Um, yeah, so I think that's it, right? So like let's see here. What are the comments? Capricorns are workaholic. Yes, they are. And as a matter of fact, I might work tonight.
Well, and I guess, like, see, this is the 12th. On the 23rd, there's a full moon in Scorpio. Full
Actually, I
moon in
think I
Scorpio.
have like a physical therapy appointment.
Oh,
Yeah, I actually have it twice. I don't know if not next week, but maybe the week after. Yeah. On the 23rd and the 25th, I think I have
oh,
an appointment with a physical therapist. Slowly but surely getting my body in shape.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, does anyone have any questions for Sunny? Yeah. There was a lot that happened from last week up until now, until like
There's a lot
um
going on for sure.
next week. We got stuff going on. And then I believe I don't know, but usually it's about like 2 weeks, but we did skip a week. So when is the next
The 23rd is a Scorpio full moon.
mhm. Interesting. So do you want to go on the 26th?
We can do
Because
that.
my
Yeah,
parents leave on the 25th,
I
so
know. So you have a
I'll
little
have more time.
more space, and
Feel more relaxed.
yeah,
Yeah. I was sending out a message to my VIPs on Instagram that I'm a little delayed on general readings because of family. Um, but I haven't really mentioned that publicly to everyone on the channel. So
Yeah.
if they're watching this up to this point, then you guys know that I haven't been on a daily basis because of that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Family time.
yeah, family time, you know. Um, but yeah, it's a
It's
lot.
good.
So, does anyone have like any questions here? Let's see here. Hmm. Is your name Sandy or something? Yes, Twin Aries. Yes, my name is Sandy. Cindy Cinderella. It's Sandy. But yeah, you remembered my name, so that's cool. uh, yeah. So,
Very interesting.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so if there's no one that has any questions, you all can book a reading with Sunny. You could visit her on her website. It is lionmountainhealing.com. So if you're really interested in like having like your natal chart done, she actually, kind of checked into my energy and her energy for the week to kind of see where we're at. So that was kind of interesting that whatever that she had read for the both of us was actually the thing that was going on. So yeah, if you're interested in knowing the more astrological aspects, then and I believe that your readings are on
Interesting.
sale.
Yeah.
So yeah, this would be a perfect time to kind of dive into that. And because also there's a lot that's actually going on around this time, and I may even ask you to get like a little touch up on like stuff that's going on with me because there's a lot that's actually going on. So it's always nice to have like a little check in,
Sure.
to see where things are at. So
Thank you, Twin Aries. We're glad you joined us tonight.
yeah, thank you, and yeah, welcome back. So, okay, so if no one has any questions, I guess we can like
Just
end things here.
take it
Um,
slow and keep it between the lines.
mhm.
Or not.
Yeah.
Yours to
Alicia,
find.
yeah, Alicia has a question. Can I ask a question about my DM and I during this eclipse time? Hmm.
What would you like to ask?
Maybe her question might be, um, what does this eclipse mean between her and her person? Like, what is the eclipse energy?
Are we
Like,
going to pull a card on that? Is that what she wants? Is that what we're doing?
I suppose so. Let's see.
What is your person's name, Alicia?
I think it's Jason. I can remember. But yeah,
Where did she go? Oh, I think she pulled, maybe hit something the wrong way. Hi. It was Luna. Did Luna do that?
that was me. My hand is like right next to my mouse. It tapped it. So,
All right, Alicia. Well, let's see what a card would say about you and your special person during the eclipse.
hmm I have strength.
I have death.
Oh, wow. Two major arcanas.
So a rebirth of the situation.
And having the courage to kind of go through it. And I also have four cups here on the bottom of the deck, so not feeling very happy but really trying to stay strong. Um,
This card always makes me think of getting down to the bone of the matter, which would
mhm.
be very authentic.
Mhm. Yeah. So if you're going through some sort of difficult thing, just find the courage and strength to go through it, even though that you feel like things are like mm, feeling difficult. Like like I don't know if your person feels like they're not interested or something, or not as um excited.
This can also be like a vibration of maturity,
Mm.
maybe being more emotionally intellectual
Mhm.
as
Mhm.
opposed to that Aryan kind of compulsive reaction. Just be more mature emotionally. That's what I get
Mhm.
from that.
Okay. Yeah. Just take it easy, honey. That's all I can see here. So.
You are the Empress. So, empower yourself within with your own self love and everything. What is that saying? Nothing that's meant to be yours ever passes you by. So, that's a good reminder notice.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Just hang in there, honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah. So does anyone else have like a question?
Good deal.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
all I
She
remembered.
remembered good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because my twin, we met around the last, you said about 7 years ago,
Yeah.
August. That's when we first met.
2017.
It was that summer. It was August. I don't. I think it was the 14th.
That was the eclipse was on the 21st.
Oh, 21st. Oh yeah, that was my son's birthday.
Oh,
So yeah, I remember that because we had met around that time, but it wasn't like perfect. He had to leave. Like he came from Okinawa and went back really quickly. He was supposed to be there for a week and left early. So it was really interesting. Yeah. So okay, his dad just passed and his services are today. Oh wow.
difficult.
Mhm.
Difficult time.
Yeah, just be supportive. It's that might be the death that actually came up, like finding the strength, of being supportive of the passing of his father's death. There isn't much that
It's
you
a
could
funny
really,
thing.
yeah.
Everybody deals with their grief differently. And
Mhm.
no one can judge or wants to be judged about how or what they should be doing with their grief.
Mhm.
Another good reminder notice. A lot of good reminders during this energy, things from the past that taught us things and remembering what they taught us.
Right.
Good stuff.
Blast from the past normally.
I had one today. Yeah. We had like a 30-minute conversation of remember who and when and who's
Mhm.
still around and who's not. And I don't know. We kind of came up through our industry with a group of people and a certain degree of fraud. I mean, there were like two or three people that went to federal prison for fraud within our little community of in the industry we were in.
Mhm. Mhm.
Embezzling money and being funny with money. And one girl got into methamphetamine and started trafficking across state lines. So,
Math?
mhm.
That's interesting.
She was doing, this girl told me today some things she was doing. I didn't work at the company where she worked.
Hmm.
Um, so I didn't know all of it. But yeah, she was telling me some things today, like the hanky panky with trying to change receipts to make them for higher money to be reimbursed for stuff, and just real obvious craziness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like
She,
the lengths or the extent of them doing like, but I think like in the past that could have been like a easy slip up, right? But nowadays, since everything's more digitized, unless they can fib that.
she went to jail the first time for embezzlement.
Mhm.
She got out and was on her I want to say, I want to remember it was like an 8-year sentence with like 7 years suspended. So she spent like a year in jail and got out. And she
Mm.
was really messed up bad with methamphetamine, really
Mhm.
bad. And evidently she was selling it across state lines and traveling back and forth, and that sent her back to federal prison to finish out that 7 years. And I thought she was still in prison, but the girl today told me that she is out. And I'm like, she went from being a manager in a large corporation. Now she's a, you know, felon.
Now she's managing the hard stuff,
And it's like, what do you do? What do you do for money in your work after going through that? You know?
Well, there's like this program for people who have been incarcerated, so they could be placed into like positions so that they're, and I think it's a
Yeah.
legal thing too, where you can't discriminate against people who have like criminal backgrounds or whatnot. I don't know the laws, but
She was like the spitting image of her dad because he was an attorney for a title company back in the 70s and did shenanigans with money and went to jail, got out. In the 90s, he opened a little agency and where they would collect money from people at a closing, like to pay off their mortgage. He wouldn't pay it off. He would keep making the payments and use the money. He was a bad gambler. And finally, one of the prior homeowners was being notified by their lender they thought had gotten paid off that they were delinquent. And she started looking into it and realizing he had this whole practice of not sending that money to pay off mortgages. And it just all snowballed and caught up on him. So he spent a stint in jail in the 70s for embezzlement. And as a pretty old guy, like in his 60s, went to prison in the 90s. And he ultimately had cancer and died in prison. That was her father.
hmm.
She pretty much, I think, where his addiction was gambling, hers was the drugs. So they were very similar, but they both spent time in jail for a funny money business.
Well, the apple don't fall far from the tree.
Yeah, yeah. Pretty wild stuff, man.
Mhm,
Pretty
mhm.
ballsy. Some of the things people will try to do and not think I think the drugs just make them feel invincible. Like it's amazing how she would try to talk her way out of things that were so blatant.
Well, some people have the gift of the gab and they
Uh,
can talk their way through anything, you know. Some of that learned from their family, you know.
yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. So,
But anyway, that was a long time ago, but it's come up like this week. So this is kind of maybe a coming home for some week, homecoming reunion.
I don't know, but like I just recently had like a water filtration system installed, and come to find out that this water filter is a hoax. It's just a fancy machine that pumps out water. And so
Very common.
we
Yeah.
tried to like get the guy who sold the machine to say, hey, like this doesn't work. It was a 5-year contract to have this machine. And I says, well, this is a faulty machine. Like how are you selling this? I don't care if this is a number one brand. Like it needs to either you prove me wrong that this thing isn't like legitimate, or you just take it back. um
So when you signed the contract, there should have been, it might be too late now, but there's usually like a 3-day rescission period where you can cancel the
Well, we
deal.
tried to contact them, they would not answer the phone.
That sucks.
So, but then the guy was like, "Well, prove me, like what are you seeing?" And so basically we got like a ppm meter to test the water, and then it's like, this is the water from the machine, this is the water from the faucet, this is the water from the little spigot that they installed, and this is the water like Dasani or something like that, right?
Right.
The Dasani water was actually the most pure compared to the thing from the sink and from the machine. So it just kind of shows that the thing is faulty. And then that was my brother that had that. I have one too. Now the water quality in Washington is much better than Arizona. So the little spigot thing that they installed was actually legit, but the machine was still like on the same level as my brother's. So I'm like, well, nobody wants to drink like subpar water when you can just get the bottled water, purified water, that we've been normally been drinking. And yeah, like why should we pay like extra money for a piece of crap machine?
Did you get any resolve?
Man, no, I didn't ask my brother. But I was supposed to record like a video, but I was just too tired. Like the kitchen was messy, so I didn't want to feel like it was proper to record like a video to showcase like the water. But this weekend I'll have more time. But my brother already submitted his video testimonial. And so at least he acted upon it as soon as we asked him to do it. But if I can prove like I had the same result, then yeah, we have a case.
Well, there's probably some sort of agency with the state for consumer affairs or Better
Hmm.
Business Bureau. You can always report them to outlets like that. I know, let's see, what was it I reported to the Better Business Bureau? It was one of those recovery businesses. Like I had a pipe burst in my utility room and it flooded. And this was the service that came to dry everything out and paint and fix the floor. And they did a really crappy job. And even though it was covered by insurance, it bothered me that insurance would pay out when I still had work that was not done, right? That they'd said they'd do, and then they didn't. They did a real halfway job. And so I didn't get any result from the manager of the company or the insurance company. So I called the Better Business Bureau and reported them. And man, I had a call the next day from the manager of the company. And he was like, "What do we have to do for you to take that complaint down?" And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I had, it was like not a checklist, punch list of items they had not completed. And some of what they did poorly. And so, yeah, sometimes something like that, will really get somebody to pay attention. Otherwise, they might just think you're
Well,
Not
this is a big company, like in Korea, like the number one company that sells multiple electronic equipment, like and then we
they
and
have
the
to be authorized to do business in your state, though.
oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that they do.
So
And
there
so
there is an avenue for you to have a third party, I guess, intervene on your behalf, is what my point was.
mhm, mhm. We'll look into it. But I mean, so far, we're gonna go ahead and submit the video testimonial. But the point was is that my mom was like, if you can have someone come out here and prove to us that this water is high quality, then we will keep it. But if you can't prove to us, then like, because how do we know once you install the equipment? You were just supposed to just like trust like what you're telling us. Like, how do we know? Like, can you prove to us that this is high quality? And there's instruments that you can do. I said, well, we have our instruments. You can bring your professionals here and you test the instrument in front of us and you prove us wrong.
Right,
If you can't prove us wrong, you take the shit back. Sorry,
right,
like
right. Refund.
yeah. Like we shouldn't have to like keep up with this contract. Like this is garbage.
Right.
And plus it's not safe, for us to like continue to consume this type of water, from a device that doesn't even work because I think there was a YouTube video saying that there was like mold in the machine. Black mold.
I quit using those Keurig coffee pots because of that. There was all this stuff out there about you can never really clean it inside and that mold develops.
I
And
think you have to do like a whole vinegar based treatment. Like you gotta like
this
clean
was
it.
even like in the machine outside of the tubing that you would pour that cleansing through.
Oh, okay.
You can't get to it unless you take it apart. Who wants to
Hmm.
do that?
Right, and you wouldn't know if you knew like
I
how.
went back to an old timey coffee pot.
You
or
know what I do? I do a pour over.
yeah,
Yeah, just disposable filter, pour over, and done. Like
yeah,
so, I stopped the Keurig. Also, I donated mine to like Goodwill.
I did too.
Hmm.
Those stupid little cups were too expensive.
The pods.
Yeah.
Hmm. So yeah.
So a lot of things, I mean, that's all part of this evolution is things that we think are one way are not. And people, especially Pluto and Capricorn, that brings in all of the elements of government and authority. So, there'll be more and more, I think, disclosure of things that are not what they're purported to be. And that's on every level of our lives, whether it's something like installing a water filter and it's just some kind of bogus thing, or
Wait until that guy knows that who I am on YouTube, and then I put like my video out there.
yeah, you'll probably hear from them then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know.
So.
Well, that's part of, standing our ground and speaking our authentic feelings and peace. And that's really where we are. And that's exciting.
Mhm. It's the revolution.
It's the revolution. It's the evolution revolution
Yeah. We're not standing for this.
anymore, right?
Yes, justice prevails.
Yes. Well, look, I'm going to go get my puppy dogs out for a little nightcap,
Mhm.
and we'll catch up here towards the end of the month and have
Mhm.
more results of what the fallout is of these exciting times. And I appreciate everyone's time tonight. Hope you had a good time.
Yes, and yes, thank you for being here with us as always. And so, and we will see you again in the next couple of weeks, right?
Weeks, yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
So, All right. Well,
All
thank
right. Well, good
you.
luck with all of that, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. All
Good
right. Thank you. Bye bye.
night.